Our banded power drive is another drill that we're going to use to finally integrate the movement of moving from knee dominant to hip dominant movement and integrating how we create our load, amortization, which is another word for transfer, and then launch. So as we're working through this movement, we want to get very similar into our hinge position, creating those triangles we're always talking about. Once we hinge, we're creating tension in those feet, floor pressure, stomach is tight, pulling the ribs down. We're driving the hips through. Now the band here is on my rear leg. You can put the band around both hips at the crease. You can focus on that rear leg. I like to start with it on the rear leg just so that once again we're getting the athlete to understand how it's a double push, and we're also getting hip-driven knee movement, not the knee just driving out. The elevated surface in front of us can be just a marker. You don't necessarily have to use it. Our key concept here is once again being sure that our hip height stays relatively the same as we move throughout the movement. But what we're going to see here is we want to create that clear load movement. That load movement means that I'm applying floor pressure. So you see that knee aggressively move and create that angle. Once that happens, you'll notice I'm almost knee to knee here. And then at this point, when these two angles pretty much match, is when we should be creating launch. And that's primarily what this is working on. Load, transfer, launch. We want to be launching and exaggerating launch with our hips and both feet. Notice I'm not getting on my tippy toes on the back. Once I'm off the transverse arch, the next frame is me off the ground. And I'm driving the hips through. Now the front foot works through knee dominant movement, knee dominant. Right here is when I become hip dominant. So you notice the correlation of hips being active, leaving the transverse arch. And now my hips can finish that movement, finishing on the plate. Like I said, you don't have to use the plate when we work through this movement. Once again, violence driving through.